Welcome to the Freedive Café, episode 30 with Gus Kreivenas. My name is Donnie. I'm the host of the Freedive Café. The Freedive Café is a long-form interviews that get into the backstories, the training, the challenges, the passions, the fears and personal philosophies of the world's freedivers. There is a website at freedivecafé.com, that's home base, and you can find all the episodes there and their show notes, and a blog and lots of pretty pictures. If you're a fan and don't want to ever miss an episode, I suggest you subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcast subscriber. That could be Apple Podcasts on iPhones or the Stitcher app on Android, and there are many others too. You can also subscribe directly through the website and you'll receive an email every time an episode or blog post is released. This is your last opportunity, almost your last opportunity, to take advantage of our offer on 2B free equipment. Alexander Bobenchikov's little company is making what I think are the best buoys and lanyards in the freediving world. They're extremely affordable compared to competitors. And if you go to the website at 2bfreeequipment.com and order some gear, if you write Freedive Café free shipping in the order notes, you will get free shipping anywhere in the world. I've used these buoys for a few months now in Indonesia, and I have one of my own now, and it's incredible, so don't miss this opportunity. Okay guys, so you may remember that last time I decided to start a Q&A section at the end of the episodes. I have finished recording episodes for this year and will soon start recording the episodes for next year, next season's episodes. I'll be starting with that this weekend actually. So if you have any questions about freediving, it can be anything that you would like me to answer or explore, then please start sending them to me now. You can send them through the contact page at freedivecafé.com, or you can send me a direct message through Facebook. You can find me on Facebook as Donny Mac, DONNYMAC. So send any kind of question you want. I will either answer it myself or I will find someone who can answer it. Don't be shy. If you love the Freedive Café and wish to support me in this endeavor to create the ultimate audio resource of freediving, please consider becoming a patron of the show. Go to patreon.com/freedivecafé and take it from there. Patrons keep the show alive, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them. To all my patrons, big love to everyone. Can't thank you enough. So today we are on episode 30. Can you believe that? That's insane. That's a number I just didn't expect to see when I started this, and it's been an amazing journey getting to this point, almost 1 year. I've learned so much from my guests, and I hope you have too. Soon we'll be entering the second season of the Freedive Café, and just wait until you see what kind of guest lineup I have in the coming couple of months. July and August are going to be power months, but I'll keep it a secret for now. Unless you're a Patreon supporter, of course, in which case you will shortly be receiving a list of upcoming guests to whom you can submit your questions. Today's guest, and indeed tomorrow's guest, because this is a two-parter, is Gus Kreivenas. Gus and I had an epic, almost 3-hour conversation at the end of January, and because I want to deliver these interviews as close to the original conversation as possible, I decided that splitting this one into 2 episodes was the best course of action, rather than producing one epic long interview. So today I give you part 1, and tomorrow, if all goes well, part 2. Who is Gus? Gus is a rising star in the freediving scene. He's originally from Lithuania and over the last decade has been developing himself into an elite freediver, focusing on awareness, sensitivity, and focus to bring himself to this level in the safest and most enjoyable way. I also see Gus just yesterday achieved a new PB in constant weight of 101 meters. So congratulations on that, Gus. And we can also expect to see him at Vertical Blue in a few weeks, where he'll be representing Lithuania and hopefully putting on a smooth show for everyone. Be warned, there is some strong language in this interview. So if you have young kids who also listen to the show, first of all, that's awesome. And secondly, you might want to bear in mind there will be some S-bombs and F-bombs coming your way. So yeah, bear in mind. Enjoy the episode and let me know what you think about it. Okay, family, let's dive. All right, first of all, I just want to say thank you a million times for coming onto the show and sharing your freediving story with us and your insight into freediving, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks, Gus.
My pleasure. As I said already, super excited. Let's get rocking.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's rock and roll, man.
Oh, man. I say that and then I realize that I have like the wrong questions in front of me. Totally not your questions.
No problems. No problem. Yeah. Just get Don't worry.
Where are we? Desktop. Here we go. Okay, so Gus, you're from Lithuania. That's a little Baltic country. I think many people are probably quite unfamiliar with it. How was it growing up in Lithuania?
That's a really good question. It was okay. It was okay. I don't know. Just I spent a lot of time on the beach because the town that I live in, it's a port town. It's called Klaipėda, and basically every time we had good weather, I mean sun, we were most of the time on the beach, running away from the school.
Right.
Continuously just spending time fooling around. And I don't know, maybe I think I had a chance to grow up in a rough area, and there was a lot of I don't know, strange stuff, let's say.
Learning experiences.
Yes. Some intense experience, and maybe it hardens up, and or I don't know, just get you a little bit more focused in life. But so it was just a lot of, I don't know, maybe I can consider myself being a little bit of a hooligan when I was young. Yeah.
Bit of a badass.
So yes. Continuously getting into trouble.
Right.
I was kicked out.
I had one kind of a girlfriend for a very short period of time. She was from Lithuania. I just remember about her that she was very intense, and she really loved table tennis. I don't know why, but she was just like crazy into table tennis. So that's kind of like my whole picture of Lithuania.
Yeah, table
crazy
tennis.
Girl who plays table tennis. Yeah, she took me to play table tennis one time and just completely embarrassed me in front of 100 people. It was ridiculous.
Oh shit!
I didn't know you could do that kind of stuff at a table tennis table. I was blown away.
I don't know. I think in Lithuania we're really obsessed with basketball. Most of the people, it's quite big in there, and now I even was trying to train, to be a basketball player, but it was no.
Didn't work out.
No, I was shit at it.
Right.
Actually, I was sucking at every sport. I think that I've tried to do. So even maybe when I was in a young age, I was trying to do some swimming, and basically in swimming pools, in that in particular, the one that we went to, everything was divided into there's few lines in the pool, and there's a line for those that are talented,
Right.
you know, like pros and so on. Then the line for those that are rich, and the line for those that are losers.
Yeah.
So they were just coming to fool around in the pool, you know,
Uh-huh.
do a few lengths and then just doing crazy shit. And I was in that line.
Right.
So yeah, and I hated running, I think, because we had like this school run that everybody had to participate. And I remember that I just like 2 minutes before the end of the race, I was one before the last person.
Right.
And then they decided to give up and just walk the last
Oh
meters.
no.
And then the last person just took me over.
Oh no.
Yeah, so yeah, I fucking hated it. Sorry.
Not a natural runner.
Not a natural runner, not a natural anything, you know. I was just like, I just wanted to do shit, you know, like very hyper, I would say, you know, just want to participate, and you know, and like there was an urge to learn, but at the same time, I was continuously somehow bumping into, I don't know. At that time, I was thinking that this shit teachers or something like that. This is how I was describing it, you know, and I was getting like stressed off my nuts, you know, like if the teacher would behave in this or that manner, you know, and they cannot justify or explain why they do this. And, you know, in many cases, like children are getting judged for their behavior, not for their, you know, ability to learn. Like, for instance, you know, I can see that a teacher may fail in being, let's say, motivating, enthusiastic, or I don't know, just to capture the attention of the student, for him to get into it. Like, I don't know, I don't think I met anybody during my young years, you know, that would even have a chat with me, you know, and would try to inspire me or motivate or even try to, you know, to have to take an opportunity to try to see, you know, what may be the talents of this kid, you know, what that kid is capable of, you know, and they were just like judging me continuously because of my temper, you know, and I was always getting into arguments and so on. I was kicked out from schools, and it was a rocky road, let's say.
It was
Let's
a
call
rough
it like
start.
that.
Yeah. So I mean, how did you discover the world of freediving? Was that something that happened early on, or something that happened much later?
No, completely later. I think it was really accidental, actually. I was, I consider myself, I was like properly burned out because I left Lithuania when I was 20, and I went to live in UK. So I lived in UK for some years, and at some point I got so tired of like trying to chase this idea of I don't know, working hard, earning a lot of money, and
did you have like a serious job then, like some, you know, profession?
I was a welder, a welder, and somehow yeah, steel erector, welder.
Uh-huh.
Let's say like that. Yes, and you know, and I was trying. I don't know. I was always trying to do the best I could, you know, and what I did, and it was nice. But at the same time, what I found, there was a lot of bureaucracy in that. There's a lot of, let's say, a relationship in all that. You know, there's a lot of people involved in the project, and you because I was not only being a welder but supervising at the same time, and so you have to deal with people at all times. You know, and there's a lot of very, let's say, intense conversations So I was continuously having trouble, to argue with people, because I consider myself that I was not the easiest person to talk with. I could even call myself a knob end. A little bit, like
at least you've
as
accepted
arrogant
that now.
And
At least you've accepted that now.
Yes. I'm not saying that I'm not now, but
Right.
I maybe a little bit less. So I was a hard person to talk with, and I think the same tendencies from the school, that talking with some people, if just continuously trying to prove my point, and always getting stuck and aggravated. I don't know, angry. So I think that the problem wasn't to do the job itself, because the job itself is amazing. I really like welding and building. But communication with people was driving me nuts. It was always like, because it was affecting the flow of the work and so on. And the communication was a big one, and I was always getting really, really tired at the end of the day, and just super stressed, bringing that stress home. That was affecting my life at home and so on, and how much energy I think I had in general for anything else than work. So it was just starting to, I must say that I started to feel like, at the beginning I was thinking that if I earn a little bit more money and a little bit more money, I'm going to be happier. And when I started to get a little bit more money, the happiness wasn't coming. And then I get a little bit more money and the happiness is still not coming. I'm still fucking tired of my, really, really, really tired. And I just started to think that, I need to start to maybe to try to do something apart from work, and I was like always a little bit into music. But as I discovered later, not so good.
Not so good,
right? Yes, but I had this idea that, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to do that and I'm maybe going to be a sound engineer or something like that.
So did you go back to school, or did you just try and teach yourself?
Yeah, no. I was trying to learn myself, but at the same time I was even thinking of, entering a school, of sound engineering in London. But then one of the people said to me, dude, you're not good at music.
At least you tried.
I still use I must say that I still use the skills that I've gained. I have a use for it. I really like now I fiddle around with the videos. I try to shoot some videos and then you have to put the music on it, and then you have to adjust a little bit the editing to suit the music and so on
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so turns out that it wasn't a waste of time what I was doing with. So and I think I'm gonna move towards that direction anyway in the future again, because I start to feel like I want to do it. But anyway, back to the what were we talking about?
Slowly getting to how you left the welding world and discovered freediving.
So I just got really, really tired, and we decided that maybe I need to travel. And I remember, I think I was fueling petrol in the petrol station, and there was a voucher for scuba diving experience, and I decided to go there, and we did, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
scuba diving, I was in London. We just went to pool. Yeah, in Putney Pool, I think, and it was just wow. And then I start to feel myself like a kid. I remember all the times I was like, because we used to spend loads of time in the water when I was a boy. And it was just like, yes, this is what I want to do. So I started to get inspired by the idea to become a scuba diver. And I had a first holiday to Sharm. So I wanted to do a course to become an open water scuba diver. And I went to Sharm, and I remember the first day I left. The plane landed in Sharm. I get off the plane and I was just like, inhale deep. And I was like, I like this place. This is where I'm gonna live. Somehow, now I think it's around 7-8 years later, I'm living here, yes. So when I did the scuba diving course, it was nice. So I lit up with an idea of becoming a scuba diving instructor. But the lady that did my first scuba diving course, the instructor, she was like, dude, you are not a scuba diver. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? No, you're not a scuba diver. Because it was like a yo-yo in the water, it was just like going up and down. I could not just stay. And I was like moving around a lot in scuba. And she was like, did you ever try freediving, And I was like, So then I saw the video of Neri.
Yeah, the base jump video.
Yes, the base jump video. And I was like, no fucking way. Wow. This is what I want to do. Yes. And basically soon after, I came back and then I continued the journey with scuba. Despite I used to get a massive jaw pain after each scuba dive, and this idea with all this equipment and not being able to move as you want and not being able to change the depth whenever you want, it was just driving me nuts, really. Because in scuba diving it's like really planned and you have to follow the plan and do you go to a particular depth and then you stay there. And anyway, so I think it took me around a year until I got my shit together and I signed up for a free diving course in London with NoTanx. I don't know if you know this organization.
Yeah, I've heard of those guys. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that was my first experience of free diving. I think this is when I quit smoking. Yeah, because I used to be a heavy smoker.
So what age were you at that point when you started freediving and you quit smoking?
I think it's 2010. So we're around 26. Let's calculate, huh? I'm 83. So 10, 17, 26, 27, yeah. Something like that. Yes, and basically, I just got in love madly. I started to follow everything on the internet, about freediving, read a lot, and it was like really like something hit me so intense, that I just spent every possible second of my time, searching, researching, reading, learning, about freediving, just trying to understand the market and in general, what's happening globally. After around a year or something, I've just decided that I will dedicate even more time and energy. And then I think 1 year I was just like really heavy, full on pool training,
So with those guys, the NoTanx guys in London, was that just all pool training, or did you have some open water?
Well, no. From time to time, we would go to the Wobster or Raisbury, which was like lakes and quarries. Where I would have experience, to dive a little bit down. And I was trying to take every possible opportunity, Then my first open water experience, not open even water, my first experience going down was in Dive for Life in Germany. We went to this deep tank pool. That was a nice experience. I ended up having sinus problems, and I was like, there's a lot of blood, and so and I think I had a bit of trouble, listening to my instructor. He was giving me instructions, and I remember he was asking me to go to a mark, and I kept going, but only because I didn't felt any tension or whatever, and just went to the bottom of the pool. And then it was like, you shouldn't be doing that. So he's telling me off, and I was like, what's your problem, man?
Back
I'm just relaxed.
Classroom problems again.
Yeah. Yes. And eventually, they put me in a corner, not to corner. So,
right 100 times, I will not go to the bottom of the pool.
Yes, something like that. The problem to stand aside and watch how everybody's diving and just think about my behavior. I think so.
So when you first started diving and you started to get a little bit of experience with depth, was it really easy for you freediving, or did you find it a little bit difficult in the beginning? Was there any kind of challenge that you had to overcome in the beginning?
Maybe mental challenge, trying to slow myself down, because I was just like, come on, I want to go deeper now. Of course, I don't know, maybe not that I would register anything super challenging, I would, maybe because I was always understanding that the process is very temporary, everything always changes, and that you just get better by practice. So I was never driving myself nuts, or I was just doing and you go down, and if you feel uncomfortable, you go up, you don't try to push, and you try to reevaluate, everything that happened, try to analyze, consult, try to ask for a suggestion from my instructor, and I really must say that I was very lucky somehow to have an instructor like Marcus Greatwood at the beginning of my career, because probably he was inspiring me a lot and motivating, and his approach towards the depth is very particular, and it's all about mastering things and learning gradually, not trying not to push and stuff like that, and I was doing my best and yeah, so I wasn't driving myself nuts. Although, I consider that I was investing a lot of energy in that, so I was, as I said, I was already spending most of my fucking time, just trying to understand the equalization, trying to understand the relaxation, in the very early stages of my experience. I've read the book of Pellizzari, the manual of freediving, where he was where he was emphasizing the importance of meditation, the importance of yoga, or flexibility, and somehow it got stuck in my head so much because I was a welder and a steel erector, so my body somehow was full of tension, It wasn't critical, but I feel like I was already getting to the stage where I started to become an issue, and I think it was really right on time that I picked that up, and I've started to practice yoga and studied and researched that subject also. And so very early, I've just spent all my time yoga, meditation, breathing exercise, equalization exercise, just trying to, to do my best, doing tables, like CO2 tables. And
right. So let's,
yeah.
I want to come back to the yoga part, a little bit later.
Yeah.
At what point did it start to become did it start to become more serious for you? Like you started to think about doing this full time and becoming a competition diver. Was that inspired by your coach, or was that a decision that you made yourself? How did that come about?
I think at the beginning it was like fun, and it was like more egoistic, ambitious idea, of just getting the numbers, yeah. And my first pool experience, pool competitions were ending up with like I remember the first competition I went in one of the disciplines, no offense, I had a small blackout. Despite my coach was like insisting of me doing less and coming up earlier, and I was just like, yeah, but it's so easy, and I just kept pushing, not pushing, it was like just rowing and rowing. And I end up having that experience, and then I got told off a lot. Because as far as I remember that at the beginning, I've just been doing it because it was, I just wanted to become better. Yes, now I remember. And then my coach started to motivate me, to tell me, that I have a talent and that I'm like somehow aquatic. And I think that this was another moment where he was like, where I had this, I wanted desperately to quit my job, and I didn't, and I knew that I need to start to do something else serious, and it was either music or freediving, and then my coach was like, dude, you're shit at music and you're talented at freediving. Just focus on freediving. And I did. In my head, I was like already like, okay, I'm gonna do Lithuanian record and and I really wanted to become an instructor, but in my head, the idea behind becoming an instructor was like that I have to, do an apprenticeship for like several years until I'm gonna be able to do something like that. And then somehow I had the opportunity to participate in my first depth competition, which was in Sharm. It was a NoTanx organized competition. It was called Pressure Seekers, and it was in 2012. And basically, when I performed there, I broke first national record, which was like 51, I think I did for immersion, which is fairly easy.
Yeah, so the Lithuanian records were pretty small.
Yes. And that somehow inspired me. And then I, through Marcus, he introduced me to a person called Marco Nones from Only One Apnea Center, and he suggested me to come and work in Sharm as an instructor.
Only One is a freediving center in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yeah, it's cool. And basically, he was like, "I've been told that you speak Russian, and we need a Russian talking instructor. Maybe you want to come." At that moment, my Russian skills were so shit. But somehow, when he was saying this to me, I was like, "Oh shit! This is this opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. This is the moment where I have to choose. Despite I wasn't feeling myself ready to be an instructor. I didn't feel like, because for me that's a big responsibility and a very serious decision. But the guy was like Marco was saying that, are going to be able to work in the center and gain some experience before I do the instructor course. And he was like encouraging me by saying, that he's seen me communicating with people and he reckons that I have all the skills required to become an instructor. Yeah. And and then I made the decision that I will come to Sham and work for half a year in that freediving center and become an instructor eventually.
And have you been
inshallah.
Pretty much living in Egypt since that point?
More or less, yes. I was leaving several times. I would leave. I would stay in Europe for like 3-4 months, maybe a little bit more, and then I would go back. And it was like almost like relapsing. I read somewhere, that some, when people change their lives, and they're choosing something else to do. The decision about, it's quite hard to go from the point of stability, into, because freediving was not something that would provide stability, material wealth, So, and I was like, relapsing, going back, working a bit in construction, earning a little bit more money. And then as soon as I get some money,
topping up the
travel again. Yes. And working again. And it was just like every time I was staying a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And my last few visits were like living here around 10 months and spending 2 months back home, just rejuvenating and recovering after all seasons of work. So just basically resting. I mean, a retreat, meditation and yoga camp in Lithuania.
So where does it stand now for you? Do you see, are you now working as an instructor in Dahab, or is this just a training phase for you?
I will call it now a training phase for me, actually, because the little amount of work that I do now as a coach, even not as an instructor, I would say, because I start as, I have changed my perspectives and understanding about teaching of freediving. And maybe I just realized, that I have something to share, and it doesn't really fit standards and any methodics. So it's just we can call it a flow, yes, sort of a flow approach towards passing on experience, passing on things that you think are are important at that particular moment.
For that person at that particular
moment. That particular moment, yes. So it's a little bit more on the go, just like, catching the right moment to pass on the particular information.
You've kind of moved beyond the point where you're just going to be repeating the information from the course manual to somebody, and sounds like now that you have with the personal experience and the wisdom and the knowledge from your own freediving training and progression, you can offer a lot more to people, right? So
it's not. I don't think it's a lot more or less. I don't judge or say that it's good or bad. It's just a different way, just different approach. It may fit somebody, it may not suit somebody, So I don't try to say, that something is right or wrong. It's just something that I started to feel more interesting for me. First of all, that I feel that I'm more enthusiastic about it. I feel that invest more energy into it, you know, and I get more benefit, you know. I just see that people benefit a little bit more from that, and I choose that, you know. You know, it's just logical for my brain that this is how it has to be. This is how it makes sense, you know. People come, you know, sometimes people come and they go like, I want this and I want that. And I'm like, no, you will get what you get when you get. And if you don't like it, it's your choice, you know, you do your own. Yeah, no, everybody feels free to do what they want to do. You know, like if people don't feel that they're getting their money's worth or they're, you know, whatever, you know, they feel free to go at any time. I will even give the money back. I don't care, because it's not about the money. It's about particular experience, you know, and learning things in a particular way that I find even somehow helps people to open up their potential, you know, on a different level, let's say. So far it's been going very well. I don't have much time anymore, I must say. And this season I chose to spend more time training,
right. So
myself.
Focus 2018 is going to be more of a year for you to expand your potential in the competition area.
It is actually my realization about how with every year, you know, because every year I'm getting deeper and deeper, let's say, in depth wise, not only in knowledge. And the idea is that it becomes harder to balance, harder to do both, to do teaching and training at the same time. I've been observing a lot of instructors, you know, that do that. Those that can perform and teach, I really admire them. I don't know where they're finding energy from. I've been able to do it up till the last season. But I realized, you know, that as soon as, you know, training yourself, it's there is a particular energy that basically to succeed, you have to spend a lot of time on yourself. So you're basically conditioning yourself. You're focusing deep inside, you know, looking for all these resources and skills and whatever abilities and energy. So there's a lot of attention and focus to yourself. And then when you work with people, it should be the opposite, you know. So all the energy and time should be on understanding the person, you know, finding their weak spots and trying to find the ways of passing on information so it's understandable for that person, not for you. No one gives a shit what you understand. You need to understand what that person needs and how he can learn. You know, this is very important, you know, to understand what is the method of how you can pass it on. And unless you are focused on that, you know, you cannot. And what I've learned is that our brain is monotask, and when we do one thing, we cannot do other thing, you know. So if you are thinking about someone else, you cannot think about yourself. And if you are thinking about yourself, you cannot think about others, you know. And people that, you know, they say that it's possible to be effective and efficient and this and that. Maybe. I haven't found the way yet. So as soon as I start to focus on myself more, I start to feel that my performance in teaching is failing. I start to miss details. I start to be less attentive, less patient, less tolerant, and so on. And when I work with people, I want to give maximum. You know, I want to give the most I can. You know, and I cannot jeopardize the quality of my teaching, because I'm, doing something for myself, if that makes sense.
So you're training, you're specifically training now. Could you kind of like talk us through what a typical week of training would look like for you?
My personal.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, it depends on the time in season, because I break down.
Periodizing things.
Yes, I'm periodizing, but mostly I would wake up in the morning. I do my breathing, stretching routines. Then I would have a light breakfast. I go to Blue Hole, and then I do my freediving training. So around 4 or 5 sessions a week in the water, in the sea. I would 3-4 times a week after the session in the sea, I would have a gym session or a freeletics session, or like high intensity interval training somewhere in the mountains. And stretching in the evening also, and some meditation here and there. Before, I used to be really, really dedicated and focused on meditation. Now I have reached the point where I do a little bit less, but mainly it was the time issue, actually. Not for me, because I've just become so busy. I just and yeah. So now I do a little bit less, and I feel like this is a period of time when I roll like this, and it's fine. As long as I feel like everything is on the case, let's say, on the track, so I'm not falling behind in my goals or my ideas, what I have, or like, for instance, usually meditation for me is also like a tool to control my mental condition, let's say. So how I feel, how balanced I am mentally. Yes, and if I start to feel like it gets a little bit unbalanced, so then I become a little bit more focus on doing more meditation, and until I'm harmonious, happy, in peace, enjoying every day and so on, I'm fine. So sometimes I would do a little bit more meditation for free diving. I find it very, very useful, but then I am less focused on physical training, so that's usually in the later phases of my goals. So the closer I am to a goal, the less I do physical training and more there's mental.
You said that you go down to the Blue Hole, so do you have like a formal coach, or do you just have some friends that you train with on a daily basis?
At the moment, I have few people that are, let's say, coaching me. Yes. And I feel very happy and how to say that? Very lucky, yes, that I know quite a few people around in freediving community. So every time I need advice or I get stuck in any of the fields, I contact them and I get an advice. But in general, if talking about my progressions, and I decide myself most of the time, So, because I have this very strong opinion about that, only you can know what is right and wrong, and for you, after you reach particular point, I think, in sensitivity and understanding of things, and then For sure, when I come to the critical point where I'm like start to panic a little bit, and I notice that for sure I start to seek for help, you know, and I have a few people that I really respect, and I ask their advice. So
you're in a pretty good place if you live in Dihab to find somebody to help you out in that regards, aren't you?
Yes, and on a daily basis, you know, I just have a group of people that we somehow safety each other all the time. We try to not to mix too much. I'm talking about having people that you don't know for safeties and so on. Basically, the idea was always being, you know, in comfort zone somehow, knowing that people that are safetying you are qualified and capable of performing safety. You know, so we have like a little group. We call it Wolf Pack. The Wolf Pack, yes, and so everybody is on a particular level of knowledge and understanding, and you just feel at ease and comfort. There's no nonsenses. You just get in the water. Everybody knows what they're doing. Piff, puff, poof. Dive is done. Out of the water, having fun.
So jealous of you, man. It takes me like
come round.
Yeah, one day. It takes me like 2 months to organize like 2 days of freediving sometimes, you know.
Oh no, yeah. Jesus! But, sorry to hear that.
I'm trying
but it's your own personal decision, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to be doing it this way forever, that's for sure. But I'm in the middle of a process, and you know, when this part of the process has run dry, then the next one will start, and we'll see what happens then. So let's talk a little bit more about the technicalities of your training. So I imagine that since you're able to go in the water every day, you're not focusing so much on things like dry training or like apnea walking or tables, or do you still incorporate a lot of that kind of thing into your training?
I don't. The apnea training, not. I try to completely exclude any apnea training when I'm spending so much time in the sea, and I prefer to do it more in the sea. You know, I know that some people are getting very, let's say, psychologically tired and physically probably, you know, to go there every day and just keep doing this and that and the other, and so they try to break it down and do some dry apnea training. I love sea, and I prefer to spend any possible time when I hold my breath. It would be in the sea. You know, I don't at the moment. I don't do any breath holds. You know, in the dry. But nevertheless, I do dry training. You know, and but it's mainly focused on building strength.
Right.
Flexibility,
your general physical condition, and your cardiorespiratory system and things like this.
Yes, circulation, and what we got, an equalization. You know, so.
Can I ask you a little bit about dry equalization training? Like, for anyone who's listening, who's, you know, doesn't have access to the water every day, and maybe when they do have access to the water, they have, you know, having difficulties with equalization. What kind of techniques or training would you recommend for them?
If I would be able to recommend something, I would recommend to focus a lot on getting awareness and to do anything that is to do with getting awareness and control of your respiratory muscles. Yes. So basically, all the groups that are involved in moving air in and out of your lungs. So basically, for
intercostals,
yes, abdominals, very important. Not a lot of people put a lot of attention to developing their abdominals so control, I mean, and I think this is quite a big one. So just putting more attention on how you can control air, and all the muscles that are involved in talking, swallowing, yes, eating. No, basically all the upper airways, and how to explain this.
So are you using hands-free equalization in your dives?
No. I've never been able to equalize hands-free. Basically, I've learned from mouthfeel, so if that makes sense. So I started from learning mouthfeel, and all I knew was mouthfeel. And then later on in my experience, I've learned about frenzel a little bit more, and the importance and how the mouthfeel and frenzel is depending one on each other. Does that make sense? So basically the mouthfeel is just continuation of frenzel, and to be able to master mouthfeel at the top, you have to understand well frenzel. And then I've learned later on, only in my career, start to experiment with reverse packing, and only in few years ago I've mastered, let's say, the reverse pack technique, and started to play around with that.
Do you mean reverse packing to reduce residual volume?
I mean diving on frenzel only by using reverse pack. So that means that basically you are trying not to engage your breathing muscles. So it's more like a passive technique, where you completely relax all the breathing muscles, and you just use your jaw and tongue to pump the air out of the lungs, let's say, into the mouth, and then so you can by using frenzel, to equalize the air. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just so I mean, I guess that's what I feel like would be doing generally, is bringing air up to top up the air for frenzel. But you're saying that you're completely relaxing any of the muscles you would normally use in that case?
No, because you can do it actively. So you can push the air into your mouth,
almost like a contraction, right?
No, almost like, but no, because the contraction, the movement of the contraction is actually inhalation. Yes. So that means it's the opposite to what you want to do with equalization, because you want to move air up into your mouth. Yes. From lungs to mouth. And contraction, the movement of contraction, is the opposite. The belly goes out, and because the diaphragm, when it gets contracted, the diaphragm as a muscle can move only one way, yes, and it's down, basically towards the belly, let's say towards your feet. So when you contract the diaphragm, your belly goes up. Your belly goes out. So it's expanding. And the movement is down of the diaphragm. So basically, it's not a contraction. It's more of it's a contraction of abdominals. We can say it like that. So basically, your abdominals contract. Okay. So maybe yes, it's a contraction, but contraction of abdominals, not of diaphragm.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm not talking about like.
Okay.
Exactly, synonymous with the. High carbon dioxide.
Because sometimes, yes, because sometimes people relate contraction to a contraction of like urge to breathe. and what I mean is, yes, there is a contraction of abdominals that pushes the air up. So it's more active, and I feel it's completely different to what I'm discovering now and playing with, because even
which is the ability to bring that air up without having to engage any of those muscles in the trunk, just using your tongue and the muscles in your mouth.
Yes. So basically, your vocal cords and glottis, all this area is coordinating with tongue and jaw, and basically you're just pumping the air out of the lungs and creating a completely different feeling to the one where you would do it actively, by pushing, by contracting your abdominals or any breathing muscles to push the air up. So the sensation is even completely different, you can get a deeper relaxation. This is how I see it anyway, the deeper states of relaxation, more pleasurable.
Is there anything that you see, I mean, I know it's all very subjective, but is there anything that you think is taught in freediving, or any kind of mistakes that are being made in training for freediving that you often see that you would like to tell people, like?
Yeah, the biggest one, stop writing. And this is to all instructors. Stop talking bullshit and write programs out for deep sea training. This is the biggest garbage I've ever bumped into. I don't care if someone is gonna get upset with me.
Let it all out, man. Let it all out. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, no. I think this is the biggest garbage I've ever heard about. Oh, I will, because people call me or write me or say like, can you write a program for me? How I would like a distance program, and I don't believe at all in distance training. Maybe Skype video training is okay, but even so, I'm like I have a strong position about that. There has to be a contact. You have to see, because there is many different details that you can miss out on, and giving somebody a clear schedule of progression in the sea could be used only in case of that someone is already in the position where he knows everything almost. Does that make sense? You can write out a program for someone that has already the skills. So you have skills, you have particular awareness, and abilities, and so therefore it's just coming back to the point where you are good at, and then just trying to go beyond. But usually in the sea, there's so many things are happening on a daily basis. Every day is so different. People awareness is fairly low on themselves. I must say that. So people are oblivious of many things that are happening to them, and for instance, if somebody is trying to follow the program and then they say, but I cannot do this because of, and they say this and that and the other. But if the person is unaware of many factors and things that are influencing and triggering and so on, how he can give you adequate feedback? He cannot. He cannot give you a feedback. And what happens is then that a person is giving you an inadequate feedback, and then you are pretending that right, yeah, what he needs to do next. Yeah. And basically it's bullshitting. It's bullshitting people into something, and charging money for it also. And for me, it's crap. It can be realized in one particular case, is if you know the athlete very, very, very well. Yes. And that means you have years of collaboration, where you've built an athlete, you build his awareness, understanding, sensitivity, and you almost, you know, his habits, his tendencies, what he may do, how he may react, and so on and so on. And then in that particular case, there is a small chance that you are able to predict adequately, and to be able to give him, okay, this is what you need to do while he's going from point A to B. Yeah, you can guide him because you know the person. Yes, you know many details and factors. And this is, yes, okay. But when people from Zimbabwe is calling to Europe and well, I need the training plan, and then someone is sending them a training plan, and this is ridiculous. This is really, I like the word garbage. For me in general, I don't know, the idea behind learning freediving and learning the skills and so on is so, even somehow intimate. I don't know. It's like quite a powerful tool, in first of all, and at the same time, it's a little bit dangerous also, So everybody is talking about safety, and if we talk about safety, I feel like as an instructor, my first task is to create a space for a person to explore his own potential. Yes. And you have to be present, and the student is relying on your experience. Yes. To observe what is happening, and to be able to predict the cause of events. So basically you see how the person is moving, what he's doing, his reactions to every little change, every little suggestion that you are giving. You can see everything. You can feel the energy, the person is understanding, because in many cases, people are unfortunately somehow not ready to train, let's say, in which way, that they are not honest with themselves, let's say. So basically from time to time, because of the ego or any other reason, they would lie, they would hide little details, so and that means that if you don't see the person, you cannot feel this, so a person is hiding this or that. When you see a person moving in the water, what he feels, what's happening in his brain, so even a person, comes up and you already know what is happening, and you can ask a question, but only to confirm and to check if the feedback that he will give is honest, but even when he starts lying, you can catch him out very easily, and that's why, hence the connection, the communication, contact, the full on face to face. I don't I maybe consult some guys in general, but only after we had a lot of experience together, and I share the details, because every person perceives and understands information completely different depending on their experience, So every time we are saying something, a person can understand things completely different. So you're not sure that he understands what you're saying at any time, So there's always interpretation of information that is happening. And so we have to be extremely careful, what we say, how we explain it. Even now you ask me about equalization, I started but I'm like overly accurate, not to say any bullshit.
That's the thing about like a Skype conversation, it's like you can only hear the person. There's so many subtle cues that you can't pick up on. Like you can learn a lot just from the way somebody looks, and other cues that you can never get. So
exactly.
That's why you have these communication breakdowns sometimes.
Exactly. So that's why I don't know, I'm really paranoid because a lot of people are they write me on Messenger, they go like, what about this? But what about that? What I should do in this situation or that situation? And I'm just like, I'm freezing, and every time I try to start to think of what may be the possible answer, there's so many things that pop into my head, like, but this, but that, but this, but you have to consider this and that and the other. And I'm like, oh, it's better me not answering because it's just going to get confused, So usually I would try to cut down onto something super minimal, bare, simple suggestions, if I don't see people. And anytime anybody is asking for some, like even, they go like, can you tell me what's happening with me? Like I have this problem and that, and I'm like, I need to see you, I need to see you in the water. I need to, you cannot, it's just too many considerations to be able to give an adequate, honest, suggestion to a person. And so I try to avoid as much as possible of trying to explain anything to people that I don't see, I don't get a good contact with, let's say. Yes. So maybe that's why I don't know, I got so even somehow successful. I feel that there is a very big success rate in my collaborations, let's say, in my because of this approach, that first of all I always meet and we talk and I understand the objectives and the goals, and for me it's very important to understand what's happening in person's head before we get even to start to try to build something. And that's why, hence, I don't do the standards, other ways of teaching, because it's a little bit more basic, I'm not saying it's bad, and probably I will come back to it later on in my journey. At the moment, it's just even it's a field for learning myself, because I always feel like I'm not, I don't know everything. So I'm always open for learning from people, and in this way, I'm just learning very fast, understanding the patterns, and very often you see a person and you're already able to tell somehow, a potential, of the person in the water. And in many cases, we even with one of my friends, we have a little game, where we try to predict, the results, of the projects somehow, and there's a very high success rate. So start to see the future. One of my coaches, Marco Nanas, which I respect a lot, and he used to do that, and I think this is where I've learned it from. He used to before we get in the water with somebody, he would take a piece of paper and he writes it down, and he doesn't show it to me, and he goes like, look, he writes some numbers and then he puts it in the drawer, and then we get in the water with the student, and we do some stuff, and then we come out, and then he gets the piece of paper and he's like, I told you. Yeah. I see the future. Yeah, so it's quite cool.
So I know you did a no limits dive to 103 meters already. That was way back in 2013. I was talking to Sheila Hanny, and I think she told me that you recently kind of joined the 100 meter club in constant weight. Is that right?
I did 130 meters no limit dives.
130.
Okay. Yes. No. The free 103 is official. It's official record attempt. And after that, I've already I think I've been to 130 meter mark already 3 times, 4 times.
That's in
back
no
and back.
limits.
So, yes.
Yeah.
And this year, no, last year, 2017. Yes, I reached 100 meter club in constant weight. Yes,
Yeah.
I did indeed.
So
This is a very big achievement
yeah,
for me.
congratulations. Was it like since you did that 103 meters and no limits, and the 4 years that have passed, was that like 4 years of dedicated training to get to this point, or did you have some breaks along the way? How did you progress from 100-meter no limits dive to 100 meters constant weight?
First of all, I continued after 103. I reached 130, and this is when I start to feel like I need to shift my skills to improve my skills. Let's say the point is that to go deep in no limits, the most important I feel is relaxation, flexibility, and focus. Yes, and basically by being able to equalize, if you are flexible, you are relaxed, you can equalize. Hence, the focus is you can go down. Yes, but then in no limits, the balloon helps you to get back up, and in constant weight, you need to come back with your own energy, and that means that you have to be strong also, and so after we reached 130, then the suggestion of my coach was to focus on strength, and to build strength. I tell you, when I did 103, I think I was around 60 or 70 in free immersion. So it was quite far away, because there was a few years of my life that I dedicate a lot to let's say, continuous practice of yoga, and I became very flexible. But the practice that I've chose was really limiting me, because I was somehow lazy a little bit. So because I was convinced I just need to get flexible, and I was just like pushing the flexibility part
and missing the strength
and
part.
I become and I missed out this balance, and my strength was falling behind, and I at some point I realized that I need to to focus on my weaknesses, and my main weakness was that I was very weak in my body. I was so flexible, my joints, I think, was aching already at some point. I started to feel some pain in my joints and so on. So the training wasn't so balanced, and then I decided to step back and start to focusing on building strength. And this is where I've learned my very big lesson, about flexibility, because I was always convinced that the more, that if you're gonna do weights or you do some, physical heavy training, that is gonna make your body tense, and actually it's the opposite, that flexibility, one of the key things in flexibility is strength, because you can be flexible, and that flexibility could be actually a weakness, because it becomes overstretching.
Yeah, I see this a lot of time, and I teach yoga, and I see this a lot of time, and especially in the girls who have been doing yoga for years and years and years, and they're just they're just flopping around like
exactly
no ability to actually take their own weight in any position, which is really bad for them.
Exactly. And yoga is all about balance and harmony, and so you have to understand that it's very important to try to balance these energies. And the idea is that as soon as I started to train strength, my flexibility increased. and improved even more. And the more important is, it's not, I even started to call it not flexibility, I call it mobility, you know. So it's a range of movement, you know, that is mobile, you know, that you can use it, you know, is usable, is efficient, effective, because you don't need to waste a lot of energy to create it. When you are over flexible, you know, to move underwater is quite hard, because every time, yes, you can bend, you know, but then to unbend, you need to invest so much energy. It's crazy. And it's even somehow very unhealthy, you know. It's bad for your spine, it's really a big one. Strength is really a big one in my understandings, in my progression towards the constant weight numbers, let's say. So I was already flexible, and what I've learned, you know, with people, you just have to understand what you got, what is your predisposition, you know, where you are, you know, are you strong and tight, or are you flexible and weak? You know, where you are, you know, and then you understand how to build your training.
Try to find the place in the middle.
Exactly, and you just put a little bit more attention on this or on that, and then you get yourself to this balance point where you are able to move in the water in an effective, efficient way, you know. So, and not even in the water, in the space, and that affects a lot your health. And even I've noticed that mental aspects are influenced by that also. A lot,
Yeah,
you know.
confidence would be one, for example.
Yes, exactly. You just become so much more confident, yes.
That was Gus Kreivenas. We're only halfway there. If all goes well, you can expect the second part of this interview to appear around the same time tomorrow. That'll be episode 31. Can you believe it? If you would like to connect with me and the show, you can do that by adding me on Facebook. I am Donny Mac, DONNYMAC. There is a Facebook page for the Freedive Café, which you can like and follow. And I'm also on Instagram as Donny McFar, DONNYMCFAR. Add me there too. Okay, folks, until tomorrow, dive safe.